up, everybody? You watch your own air Nick Java podcast here on YouTube and Facebook. Guys, I have George Roa here, who is a candidate for commissioner here in Zebulon, North Carolina. George, how you doing? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
What's up, Nick? I'm George Roa, 38, married. I work in real estate. I'm on the planning board. Coach. Love Zebulon. Love Z-Town.
Right.
Love doing things for town, for people. Used to be a social worker.
Okay.
And now I'm here trying to run for commissioner.
Speaking of, what brought you into local politics?
Being on the planning board. Getting on the planning board and working with everyone and understanding the town's workings. And then when Ms. Clark stepped down, there was an application process to see if you wanted to fill the seat. And then all that coincided with an election in November. So I decided, let's go.
That's what's up, man. What are some of the key issues or priorities that you're running on in this election?
Transparency, safety,
Okay.
and responsible growth. I think we need to communicate better with the town. I think we need to manage all of the people that are coming into town that we can't do anything about because everything's already approved and houses need to be built.
Okay.
And with that growth, we need to make sure that the police and the fire are proactive instead of, respondent. I think we need to make sure they keep up with the growth.
Okay. What are your top 3 goals that you'd like to accomplish, during your term?
I'd like to make sure that we communicate with the town better. Update that policy so that we could use Facebook or voices like yourself in town. I'd like to update, the UDO so that during that process of an application for development, the commissioners get involved at the very beginning.
Okay.
Not at the end, to hopefully avoid something like deacon development from happening.
Oh, no.
And I'd also like to get in there and start looking at what we do now for grants. Maybe we can find some grants for more to support police or fire or just in general. Right? There's money out there that the government can try to get, and I want to see what are our efforts now in trying to get some of those grants. Who's writing them? How many times a year do we apply? And maybe try to get us some money. You've
helped bring the Zebulon Bearcats youth football team, and you've even funded gear to get kids back on the field. Tell us a little bit about something that I believe personally, man, is close to your heart, the Zebulon Bearcats. Tell me what that has been like just from your perspective.
Yeah, I think we were given the opportunity, my wife and I, to jump on board and start a team here. Right. And I thought, where I grew up in New Jersey, there's plenty of, you can go to town hall.
Sure.
You could walk in and say, hey, give me a list of all of the sports that I can enroll my kid in. And the town is usually in charge of that. But here, it's not that way. So, I don't know, we just felt called to do it. We had the opportunity to do it. We had the means to do it. We worked with Derek and his wife, Chrissy, and we filed the status. We purchased all the equipment ahead of time because we had to then fundraise to, get some of that money back.
Sure.
But it just goes to show you what somebody in town that has the drive to do something can accomplish. If my wife and I can accomplish that, imagine what the town could do if it really put its energy towards developing programs for the youth and they had money in the budget to do it, right? So it's something that's important to me because right here in this office, we spend time with the kids tutoring them. So we had Fridays, we'd have some of the kids that started falling behind, we had tutoring, and you get to meet with them and talk to them.
It's really nice.
I love working with children, and it's what I went to school for. I went to grad school got my MSW. So it was just a way to give back, man.
That's what's up. You started Zebulon in Español and to translate town information.
Yeah. I think there's just a large Hispanic population in town, and they don't know what's going on. So I talked to you about it, and you thought that would be a good idea. And I just, I started it up. Thank you for helping me get that page to grow. We have over 330 Spanish-speaking people on that group now. And all I do is I take the posts, I take all of the different documents that are put out or the events that are announced, and I translate them into Spanish. I use some software to translate some of the meetings into Spanish so people could listen to if they want. And we host them there.
Right.
We also let a lot of Hispanic businesses advertise there as well for free. But it's kind of become this thing where I'll go into a restaurant and be like, oh, I saw your video on Español, and I was like, oh, nice, thanks.
So you've made a lot of videos for people here in town. Like, why do you do that? Like, are you making money off those videos?
No, I wish.
Really?
Yeah.
That's rowdy.
No, well, I work in real estate, so part of my job is to advertise Zebulon. It's to advertise Zebulon to people outside of Zebulon and to people inside of Zebulon. So I thought, why not highlight some local businesses? They get more clients. People know these things exist. It gives me more outreach, and it's fun. It's a good way to go in and meet a business owner, talk about their business, and you can see they're passionate. When you ask someone and you hold the camera and like, tell me about your business,
sure,
they're so overwhelmed in the beginning, and then they'll go and like, oh, I really like this, and I put this here because of this. So it's just something to do. It's I don't know. I don't have complicated answers to these questions because it's just I don't ever put too much thought into it. I have a camera. I can do it. I feel like doing it. I go and I ask them. They say yes, and then I put it on for Zebulon by Zebulon.
Right.
That's it.
What are some things you feel like they're falling short on?
I think right now Zebulon is struggling communicating with its citizens.
Okay.
Zebulon could be doing a lot of good things, but the people don't know what's happening. A lot of people don't know the developments that are coming to town. A lot of people don't know the events that are being held in town, and I think there's just like a miscommunication. There's like a block, right? And I think we need to fix that.
And you mentioned on a previous podcast with me that the actual policy that you were wanting to pitch as far as social media. You mind expanding a little bit on that?
Yeah, I believe that it's 2025.
Okay.
We need to use more methods of communication than one town website and one newspaper.
Okay.
I think we need to keep using those, but expand. Use maybe podcasts. Use a local voice in Zebulon like yourself. Use Facebook and social media. But it has to be a very concentrated effort to reach a lot of people. It's curious that the town doesn't post these things, but individual commissioners will post news or meeting minutes or agendas or events. Like, it should come from the town. Right, so no matter who's in power, the town is always keeping the communication channel open.
That makes sense. You were part of the team behind Zebulon's first commercial mixed-use project. What was your role, and why does that project matter for residents?
So my role is one of the real estate agents involved in the transaction. So we found the land, we found the buyers, got the developers, work with them, work with their team to put together the best presentation that we could. Gave them some tips on the UDO and what has passed in the past and what hasn't passed.
Okay.
And did the economic development plan for it. So crunched all the numbers to show how much money it would make the town. And then why it matters is because it's the first development of its type. So it has all commercial on the bottom and then apartments. So it is the first apartment complex that we're going to have. And that's opened the door to other developers who've learned about that to now come into town to try to pitch something similar.
Okay. You've seen Zebulon from the perspective of a real estate agent. Can you give us some insight into recent developments that are shaping our town?
Yeah, we have the project I mentioned. We have a new type of zoning, regional mixed use, where by right you can make a commercial project like that as long as it's in that area that's designated inside Zebulon.
Okay.
You can do that. We have, I think, 6,000 more homes coming to Zebulon that have been approved.
Oh, wow.
And there's, they just have to be built. So growth is coming. As an agent, my day job is to sell Zebulon. I'm trying to tell someone, make a $450,000 investment in Zebulon because it's great, it's amazing, it's beautiful, we love it. It's growing. So I just want to share with the town that growth is coming. Businesses will come. We just have to make sure that transition is easy.
Okay, so we've had some concerns from residents here regarding the entire food truck situation in the downtown area. What's your take on that?
Well, we just had a joint public hearing with that. We're trying to figure out, the town is trying to figure out with the planning department how to update the policy. Do we leave them on Arundel? Do we move them to side streets? Do we let any business sponsor? Do we get more food trucks? So I think right now we're in the deliberation phase of it to try to figure out what would be the best method to move forward. I'm a fan of getting them off Arundel because I think when you have 4 food trucks out there, it gets hard. It's hard to drive through there, and there's trucks that go through there, and we want downtown to be vibrant. We want to encourage people walking and using those shops, so we should make it as safe as possible.
Right. And this is just a question for anybody watching. You guys let us know in the comments. Is it Arundel or Arundel? Because that is the forever question there. So.
Unreal.
So George, you ever make the drink that you sip in your mouth?
Never.
Okay.
It always falls out.
I understand. I do want to ask you something. You were at the meeting where they were voting for a new stand-in commissioner.
Oh yeah.
I watched all of you guys. There was a lot of online talk about one of the candidates when it came to his application. Loads of spelling errors, things of that nature, and how the vote was split.
Yeah.
You being there and being one of the people that went through that process, could you explain to us what that was like, and what your thoughts were on that particular situation?
I think my gut feeling is like it's a slap in the face, right? Because when you do a lot of things for town, when you do a lot of things for town,
Okay.
you don't necessarily do them for kudos or for like, oh, look how great, give them the key to the city, right?
Sure.
But when you're up there applying for a position, a job, and they want to know what your contribution to the city has been so far, and you have things to actually list that you've done in the short time that I've lived here, to not get any acknowledgement for that is kind of, it just demotivates you, right? Or unmotivates you. It just doesn't make you want to keep doing those things. And then when in Jessica's, podcast she did with you, and already had her mind made up before the speeches were made.
Okay.
And we all had 5-minute speeches. An introductory meeting with the town manager, the town attorney, and the town clerk.
Okay.
And in there they told us you have to be at the meeting, you get 5 minutes to speak, and the commissioners are going to ask you questions because they're going to deliberate on who to pick. But they didn't ask anyone a question. They didn't deliberate on anyone. They already knew what their votes were going to be, and that goes back to the Gilbert situation.
Right.
Don't tell people to apply if you already have people that you're going to want in the position, right? Because then you're wasting everyone's time. So
I understand.
I did what I could with that time, and I made a speech so hopefully everyone that was watching can get to know me. And in November, if I didn't get the position, that's fine, because in November I'm going to run and I want to earn it. But it would have been nice to have a head start to delve into these policies and these things, procedures.
I understand. There's been a lot of conversation around former Commissioner Beverly Clark's resignation. It's very public. I mean, we all, anybody around here saw it. What's your perspective, and how do you think we move forward constructively?
I think Miss Clark went out in a blaze of glory. She went up there on YouTube, made those statements, charged statements, and
some pretty heavy allegations.
Oh yeah, and it's hard. It depends what camp you're in. If you're in the commissioner camp, you're like, oh, none of that is true.
Right.
If you're in the outside the commissioner camp, you start to think like, this is someone who was back there with them. This is someone who was in the room with Commissioner Harrison when they were deliberating on giving Gilbert Todd his job. Did she know this and not, feel comfortable telling people because of obvious reasons? But it just seems like it's one thing after another that paints him a certain way. And I think hearing from someone like that who had such a high standing in the community kind of drove it in.
The Zebulon South development has drawn a lot of attention and a lot of criticism. There's been a lawsuit. I mean, all kinds of stuff that I personally read online. What's your take on that? Do you feel like it was handled? Do you think it was handled well by the current administration, or do you feel like it could have been handled better?
I think that there's a clear moment in that whole meeting where we could have used stronger leadership. It was the moment where there was a vote and they voted no, and then Michael Clark, who was the planning director, said, hey, you need to give a reason. And then Commissioner Miles was like, no, we don't have to give a reason. And then Clark went to the attorney and said, hold on, let's defer this to the attorney.
Sure.
And then the attorney's like, well, you could or you can't. And then Commissioner Miles was like, see, I don't have to. And then that all transpired. I think that would have been the perfect time for a mayor or another commissioner to say, like, hey, you know what? Let's take a 5-minute recess. Time out. 5-minute recess. Mr. Attorney, can you get with the planning director and find out what it says in the charter? Do we have to give a reason, yes or no? And then let's, reconvene. I think maybe we might have still gotten sued. Who knows? But they couldn't have used that in the lawsuit, So things like that, it's about, I don't know if it's thinking outside the box or kind of trying to calm everyone down, but it just doesn't seem like there's any, control. And sometimes these meetings, they go left, they go right. They didn't know how to vote at the other meeting, who had to vote, and it just looks like it's in disarray sometimes.
So your name is not the only name that's going to be on the ballot this upcoming election.
Mm-hmm.
What differentiates you from the other candidates?
I think my experience in the town, my drive to get things done. I take a lot of initiative to do things, and then my boss would tell you I'm good at executing a plan. Right? I put things together and I execute the plan, whether it's the football team, Zebulon Español, videos for businesses. I'm on the planning board now. I make sure to always try to work well with my fellow board members and have open conversation. And I love doing social media. I'm on there now talking to citizens. We posted, for example, of the Joy public hearing.
Sure.
I posted the points I made. We had Brandon from Old Raleigh Distillery comment.
Sure.
Hugh commented. Beverly Clark commented. And they didn't just say that's a good or bad idea. They said, hey, can you take this into consideration?
Sure.
Take this. And I said, I'll take that to the planning board at our next meeting. So that's, if you look at what I do now, I'm trying to do the job without the title. Okay. And I think that's what separates me from the rest. And you get 2 votes.
Is there anything else you would like the citizens here in Zebulon to know about you before we end this podcast?
Go to voteforroa.com, get to know more about me. And this is a position that I'm seeking because I live in town and I have a daughter in town and I have a family here. I don't want to use the commissioner position as a launch pad to go into Congress or Senate. I want to stay in Zebulon and I want to watch Zebulon grow. So I'm invested here. My family's invested here, and I want to stay here.
I know. Well, George, it's a pleasure to talk to you, man.
Hey, buddy.